Hi everyone, this video is gonna show how to find the limit for the function. Okay, so before we start to look at the example, I will roughly brief about the limits, how to find the limit, the process of finding the limits. Normally, to find the limits, we will start with the method of substitution. Meaning that if let's say we are going to find the limit for when x approaches to a for a function fx, we're going to substitute the a into the fx. All right, and then if this is defined, after we substitute, if it is defined, we say yes, then you should get the answer, means that the method of substitution will be success. All right, if let's say when you substitute the a into the fx, you got something 0 over 0. Then we can say that, okay, direct substitution method will be failed for this function. So we are going to consider the method of factorization or multiplication of conjugate. When we talk about factorization, normally we will deal with the function polynomial, which is a rational function, and numerator maybe is a polynomial or denominator is a polynomial. We're going to factorize it. When we talk about multiplication of conjugate, then we normally would deal with the case where the function containing the surd. All right. After we have done factorization or multiplication of the conjugate, then we suppose we'll simplify first. And after you simplify, you should cancel off something. Then you are going to back to the method of substitution. All right. Then finally, you get the answer. So basically, this is the process when we find the limit. Again, we start from the method of substitution. If success, we suppose we'll get the answer, then end of our solution. If there is no means that you will get the case where you get the 0 on top and 0 at the denominator, then we have to proceed to factorization or multiplication of conjugate. So when we are using factorization, when we are dealing with polynomial, and if let's say you see any surd function, surd on maybe numerator or denominator, so we have to think of conjugate. After that, after we have multiplied or factorized, then we simplify our function. Then we back to the substitution, and finally we'll get the answer. All right. So look at the example 1. For the example 1a, we're going to find the limit when the x approaches to 8. The function is 7. When you have any constant function, no matter what value is the x, we just take back the constant function, the constant value, that is 7. All right. This can be explained by using the graph. If you have a graph y equals to 7, then no matter x approaches to whatever value, for example, if this is approaches to 8, if let's say this is the 8, when x approaches to 8 from left right, you will see that the y is approaches to 7. Or when the x approaches to negative 7 maybe, the y also approaches to 7. When x approaches to 10, all right, y also approaches to 7. Or even when x approaches to 0, y also approaches to 7. So this is the one of the property of the limit. If you have a constant function over here, we don't care what is the value of x approaches to. We just take back the constant value. All right, this is how we find the limit for the constant function. And for the question B, you're going to find that x approaches to negative 7, x plus 3 over x plus 6. So first, we look back to this one, the flow chart. We will start from the direct substitution first. If yes, then we got the answer. If no, then we only proceed to the factorization or conjugate. So firstly, we are going to substitute first. Substitute the negative 7 into the x. Negative 7 into the x. Then you have negative 4 on top and a negative 1 below here. Alright, so you have a 4. Meaning that once you got the 4 means that the limit is is defined when you substitute negative 7 into the function is defined. And actually this is the answer. So you do not need to proceed to factorization or conjugate. Alright, look at the question C. I have 11 example for the question 2. So let's look at the question A. For the question 2A, we're going to use this substitution first. Substitute the 6 inside. You have a 0 on top because 6 minus 6 is 0. And then 6 square will be 36. 36 minus 36 will be 0. So once you get the case when you use substitution method, you got the 0 over 0 means that your substitution method is failed. So now you have to proceed either to the factorization or multiply by conjugate. For this function, you don't see any cert, so there is no chance to use the conjugate. So we only deal with the factorization. We can see that in our function, x squared minus 36 can be factorized as x plus 6 multiplied by x minus 6. So once you have this, you can see that the x minus 6 can be cancelled off and we have a 1 on top. So now you rewrite the limit again, you will have this 1 over x plus 6. So now you can just substitute the 6 inside. I think the answer will be defined. Substitute 6 inside, you have a 1 over 12. Then if you got a defined number, that will be the answer for your limit. For the second question, again, we are going to substitute first, see whether if we get the 0 over 0. Substitute 4 inside, you have a 0 on top. And substitute 4 below, you got 0 below. So again, you know that the substitution method will be failed. We need to proceed to factorization since this is a polynomial on top and polynomial below. So polynomial on top will be r squared minus 16. R squared minus 16 can be factorized into, that will be r plus 4 and r minus 4. And this is divided by r minus 4. So now you can see that the r minus 4 on top and the below can be cancelled off each other. Finally, you have a limit. When r approaches to 4, you need to find the limit for the r plus 4. So substitute now, because the factor that makes you got the 0 over 0 already been cancelled off. So now you just substitute inside, you will get a defined answer. That will be 4 plus 4 will be 8. For the question C, we can see that we have a polynomial on top. We have this third function below. So probably later on, we might use the conjugate and also factorization. But before this, we have to test with the substitution first. Okay, just apply this, plug in the 0 into your x, you get 0 on top. Alright, 2 multiplied by 0 minus 0, you got 0 on top. and you have substituted 0 into the denominator as well, you get 0 below. So once you get the case 0 over 0, again you say that the substitution method failed. So we have to proceed to either factorization or conjugate or both. Alright, so for this question, we can see that we need the conjugate. Multiply the below function by the conjugate. The conjugate of the surd of x plus 1 minus 1 will be surd of x plus 1 plus 1. But you just cannot just multiply the denominator by its conjugate. On top of it, you need to multiply the same thing so that you won't change the original function, because this is actually equivalent to 1. When you have this surd of x plus 1 over surd of x plus 1 plus 1, this is actually equivalent to 1, and you did not change the function. Alright, you just change the form. Okay, so after you multiply, remember you're not going to expand the numerator. Numerator, you just use a bracket to show that they are multiply each other, and you are just you're going to expand the denominator, because this is the conjugate, right? Just expand the conjugate. So expand the conjugate. Square root of x plus 1 multiplied by square root of x plus 1, you get x plus 1. And a positive 1 multiplied by square root of x plus 1, you get square root of x plus 1. Minus 1 multiplied by square root of x plus 1 will be cancelled off each other. And lastly, you get negative 1 multiplied by 1, you get negative 1. So you can see that when we multiply by conjugate, the surd will be eliminated. Alright? On top of it, alright, on the numerator, you have a polynomial over here. So you can just factor out the x. You have 2x minus 1. Alright, 2x minus, 2x minus 1. Then after that, I say that numerator, you're not going to expand it. You just use a bracket to show they are multiply each other. Just like that. Then after that, we try to simplify. Okay, so the numerator, we just have x. After we have this, we can see that actually we can cancel off the x, because the x over x is actually the thing that will make us got the 0 over 0. So now we already cancel off the x over x. So we can actually use the substitution method. You can direct substitute the 0 inside. Alright, or you may write down the function once again. Then proceed to the substitution. We got 0 minus 1. Multiply by surd of 1 plus 1. Then you have 2 over here. Multiply by negative 1, you get negative 2. Alright, for question D, you can see that you have a surd function on top and polynomial below. So probably later on we're going to use this multiply by conjugate. But before this, we always check with the substitution first. If the substitution method is a success, then we will stick to substitution. Okay, substitute 1 into here, you have a 4. So surd of 4, you have a 2. 2 minus 2, you got 0 on top. And substitute 1 into here, you got 0. So once you have the case 0 over 0, so you have to proceed to factorization or conjugate. For this case, we are going to multiply by the conjugate. 2 minus square root of x squared plus 3. The conjugate will be 2 plus square root of x squared plus 3. Then we have to divide by the same thing, so that this is equivalent to 1. See or not? This is equivalent to 1. Then after that, we just expand the numerator, which is expanded the conjugate. Down here, the denominator, we just copy down and use a bracket to show that they are multiply each other. Just like that. Do not need to expand. We just expand the conjugate. 2 multiplied by 2, you got 4. Positive 2 multiplied by sort of x squared plus 3 minus 2 square root of x squared plus 3 will be 0. And then lastly, you have negative multiplied by positive, negative sort of x squared plus 3 multiplied by sort of x squared plus 3. That will be x squared plus 3. And don't forget to put a bracket because this negative later on will take effect on the sign inside here. Okay, so just copy down the limit and simplify the top function. You have 4 minus 3, you got 1. 1 minus x squared over, down here you have 1 minus x. Multiply by 2 plus square root of x squared plus 3. After that, we can see that 1 minus x squared can be factorized as 1 plus x multiplied by 1 minus x. This is divided by the 1 minus x. 2 plus square root of x squared plus 3. After we have this, we are going to simplify further by cancelling this one. 1 minus x. Once we cancel the 1 minus x, we can just use the substitution method to substitute the 1 into here. Alright, substitute 1 into the x, you have a 1 plus 1 over 2 plus square root of 1 square plus 3. So once you start substitution, meaning that you already operate the limit, alright? So you do not need to write down the limit anymore in front of it. So just simplify your number. You have a 2 plus, set of 4, you got 2. That will be 2 over 4. Finally, you have a 1 over 2. For the example, E is a simple question. We can see that this question just involves the polynomial. So we just need to substitute 1 into here. You can get a 0 over 0 again. Alright, so when you have this case, you are going to proceed to factorization. Alright, on top is a linear function, just copy down. And x squared plus minus 1 can be factorized as x plus 1, x minus 1. After you have the, you can see that the x minus 1 can be cancelled off. Then lastly, you will have a limit. X approaches to 1. The function become 1 over x plus 1. So now you can just substitute, use the substitution method. Substitute, you will have a 1 over 2. That will be the answer. For this function, again, start with the substitution method. We get a 0 over 0 again. Alright. Then, meaning that substitution fail, you need to proceed to conjugate. Because I see that the denominator appeared as third, I know I need to multiply by its conjugate. So conjugate will be a sort of p plus 3. Just change one of the sign. I change the sign of the negative 3 to positive 3. On top of it, on top of this third p plus 3, you need to multiply by the same thing. Alright? Numerator, you need to multiply by the same thing so that this become 1. After that, you just expand the conjugate. Just expand the conjugate. The numerator do not need to expand. You just use a bracket to separate them. Just like that. And the denominator, yes, you're going to expand it. Third p multiplied by third p, you get p. And positive 3, third p, negative 3, third p, you get 0, minus 9. So you can see that after you multiply by conjugate, this become, the third has been eliminated. And you can see that there is a p minus 9 below here, which is appear on the numerator also. So this can be cancelled off. Then you have your function becomes so simple. That is third p plus 3. Now you can just use substitution method. Substitute the 9 inside here. Plus 3. You got 3 plus 3. That will be 6. For this example, I can see that both numerator and denominator consist of polynomial. So I just need to expand the top, the numerator. I got 4 plus 4r plus r squared minus 4 over r. After that, simplify further. 4 minus 4, you got 0. So we left a 4r plus r squared. Actually, the r can be factored out. We have a 4 plus r divided by r. Then we can see that the r can be cancelled out. So what we have is 4 plus r. And now we can direct substitute the 0 inside. We got a 4 plus 0, which is equivalent to 4. For this example H, I need to, because this involves the cubic polynomial, if I need to factorize, I need to find the first 0. But before this, again, we will repeat, we will get 0 over 0, means that substitution failed. I know I need to factorize this, the cubic polynomial. So the first 0 of the cubic polynomial, the first 0, because I substitute 2 inside, I got 0. The first 0 will be 2. From the 0, I know that my factor will be x minus 2. So now I'm using long division. I'm taking the x cubed minus 8 minus x minus 2 and see what is the quotient that I got. Alright, so x cubed divided by x, I got x squared. So I got my x cubed minus x squared multiplied by 2, you got 2x squared. Then minus. Alright, x cubed minus x cubed, you got 0. Then negative 8 minus negative 2x squared, you got positive 2x squared minus 8. Then again, 2x squared divided by x, I got my 2x, positive 2x. Positive 2x multiplied by x, you got 2x squared. 2x multiplied by negative 2, you got negative 4x. Then minus again. So you got a 2x squared minus 2x squared, you got 0. Negative 8 minus negative 4x, you got positive 4x minus 8. Divide again, you get a 4. 4 multiplied by x, you got a 4x. And 4 multiplied by negative 2, you got negative 8. You got remainder 0. This means that our function of our polynomial of x cubed minus 8, it can be written as x minus 2, which is my divisor, multiplied by my quotient, that is the x squared plus 2x plus 4. Then from here, I can see that, yes, x minus 2 can be cancelled off. What I left is limit, as approaches to 2, you got 1 over x squared plus 2x plus 4. So now, x minus 2 already been cancelled off. You can just substitute the 2 inside to get your answer. That will be 4 plus 4 plus 4. That will be 1 over 12. For this example, we need to substitute first, check whether the substitution method is fail or success. So after we substitute, we got it 0 over 0. Again, we need to proceed to factorization or multiply by conjugate. For this question, we are going to do both. So the conjugate for 3 minus 30 will be 3 plus 30. And on top, we need to multiply the same thing. Then we can see that the t squared minus 81, it can be factorized into t plus 9, t minus 9, yeah? Because this is in the form of a squared minus b squared. If you factorize, you will get a plus b, a minus b. And multiply by 3 plus 30. We're not going to expand this. Just use the bracket to show it. They are multiply each other. And we're going to expand this. That is 3 multiplied by 3, you got 9. And 3 multiplied by 30, you got 330. Minus 330, that will be 0, cancel off each other. And then the negative 30 multiplied by positive 30, you get negative t. Alright, then some of you may say, alright, 9 minus t can it be cancelled off with the t minus 9? The answer is no. You need to factorize, factor out the negative one first, change it exactly the same. So I will just copy down the numerator. And then down there is our denominator. I will factor out the negative out. When you factor the negative out, you will have a t minus 9. All right, when you expand it back, you will get back your 9 minus t. So now you can see that I have a t minus 9 at the numerator, and the denominator also we have a t minus 9. They must be exactly the same, then only you can say that you can cancel off this. Then finally, you can write your function in this form. After you have cancelled, you have a negative t plus 9 multiplied by 3 plus third t. Alright, so down here, the negative I bring up, I have negative here. Now you can use substitution method. Substitute 9 inside, you have a 9 plus 9. 3 plus third of 9, that will be negative 18. Multiplied by 3 plus 3, that will be 6. Then you got negative 108. For the example J, I'm going to again start with the substitution. I substitute 2, I got 0 on top and 0 below. Again, this shows that we need to proceed to factorization and multiply by conjugate for this case. So what is the conjugate of this third of x plus 2 minus third of 2x? That will be third of x plus 2. Change the sign of this, become positive. That will be the conjugate. All right. Then down here, you need to multiply by the same thing. All right. Then after that, I will expand the numerator. And down here, I need to factorize the x, factor out the x. I have x minus 2. Factor out x, I got x minus 2 in the bracket. And I'm not going to expand this. I just use the bracket to show multiply. And on top, I just expand. Third of x plus 2 multiplied by third of x plus 2, you got x plus 2. And this term multiplied by this minus this multiplied by this, you will cancel off each other. And lastly, third of x plus 2 multiplied by third of 2x, you will have negative, it's actually is a third of 2x multiplied by third of 2x. It's a cancel off. Then, this one is negative third of 2x multiplied by positive third of 2x. You got negative 2x. Okay, so now you can see that once it multiplied by the conjugate, the square root term will be eliminated. And now we need to simplify this. I will have x minus 2x, you got negative x, and you have a 2 on top here, 2 minus x. Then I have my x minus 2. Again, this is a x square root of x plus 2 plus a square root of 2x. After that, we are going to cancel off the x minus 2, but still we cannot do that because this is still not yet changed into the, we didn't see any x minus 2, we only have 2 minus x at the numerator, so we need to factor out the x. Factor out the x, I have x minus 2, so now you can see that I have x minus 2 at the numerator, so this probably will be cancelled off with the x minus 2 at the denominator later on. So cancel off this. Get 1, then simplify further. You have a negative 1 on top. Then here it will be x multiplied by square root of x plus 2 plus square root of 2x. Then now you can directly use a substitution method. Substitute 2 inside. You have negative 1 over 2. 2 plus 2, that will be third 4, that will be 2, plus 2 multiplied by 2, that will be 4. Third of 4, you get 2. So you will have a negative 1 over 8 as your answer. This is the last example, and this example is actually similar to the question that we discussed just now. Okay. You just need to substitute, and you got the 0 over 0. Then now we need to substitute by the conjugate. That will be sort of x squared plus 5. And then we change the sign over here. We got positive 3 divided by square root of x squared plus 5 plus 3. And this one, x squared minus 2x, later on, you can factorize it, factor out the x. So now I expand this. I got my, at the numerator, I got my x squared plus 5. All right, x squared plus 5. And then the two terms in the middle can be cancelled off. Then lastly, I have my negative 3 multiplied by 3. I got negative 9. And this one, I can factor out the x directly. I have my x minus 2. And this one, I will put inside this bracket to show they are multiplied to the x minus 2. And now I need to simplify. Simplify the numerator. I have x squared minus 4. So once you have x squared minus 4, actually, you should be able to see that x squared minus 4 can be actually factorized into x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, this is 3. Then further, simplify means that I need to factorize the x squared minus 4 to be x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, then we can see that x minus 2 can be cancelled off later on. All right, cancel off the x minus 2. You have your function where it allows you to substitute. Substitute the value of 2 inside, you suppose will get the answer. All right, substitute 2, and this one also will be 4 plus 5. There will be sort of 9 plus 3. Then you have 4 on top and 2 down here, and 3 plus 3, that will be 6. Okay, you can simplify. You have your 1 over 3. All right, so then the next video, I'm going to share with you more example on the limits. That is a one-sided limit. All right, thank you.